Yeah. Okay. So good morning to everybody, especially students who are watching this video. We are going to, today is Tuesday, June the 30th. And what we're going to do today is we are going to review a Guia, which I sent you, and this is about 6-8, and it has to do with modal verbs, okay? So this is very important to reinforce, you see, our contents about these important, you see, modals. Okay, we are going to review them. Modals have to, that we just checked in Unit 6A, must, don't have to, can, be allowed to, should, shouldn't, and can't. And I also sent you another material that has to do at the other with must. I don't know if you could see it last night, anoche. I sent you another one with have to and must that can help you more because it has more information about these two specific modals, okay? But first we're going to check this anyway. Well, it says here, the first part of this Guia has an introduction about, you know, the uses of the modals that we have in Unit 6A, which is about in what cases, for example, you are going to use have to and has to, which is affirmative, right? Well, this is, we're going to use it, you know, and must, of course, we're going to use them to say if something is obligatory, right? That's why in parentheses, I put it obligation. Or when there is a necessity, you know, also to do this. This is, you know, to say something is obligatory. In the case of don't have to, doesn't have to, I used to show that something is not important, it's a negative, or is not necessary, right? Or you are not obliged to, no obligation. Can, in affirmative, can and allowed to, I mean, it could be I am allowed, is allowed, you see, or are allowed depending on the subjects, right? Are used to talk about only permission, right? When it's positive, for example. When I say, okay, you can go out now, or you can go to certain places, or you're allowed, you know, to park here. Those are permission. We're talking about permission, that you have the permission to do this. And when we say, for example, can't, or the negative with is or are or am not allowed to, it means that you don't have a permission to do something. For example, maybe I can't, let's say, I can have lunch in Creal, right? Because, you know, this is, you don't have the permission to do this. Or you are not allowed. You can also use allowed to. I am not allowed, for example, I don't have permission to, for example, to take my dog with me and have my dog in my classroom. So I am not allowed to have my dog, for example, in my classroom. Should or shouldn't, well, they are, as you know from last year, that we always use it when we want to make a recommendation to someone or when we want to give a piece of advice, right? And can't in negative is used as prohibition, can't, when you are prohibited. Okay, and then you have some examples here, like you have to or you must follow the instructions of the international test, and your brother doesn't have to work on Saturday. You see, doesn't have to, and we can eat our lunch here. Maybe we are allowed to eat lunch here. This is the idea. And you should stay home these days because of the pandemic. So this is we're giving a recommendation to the people of Valparaiso or of our region. You see that everybody should stay home to avoid, you know, I mean, let's say having this pandemic. And you can drink coffee or tea in Creole, yeah, because of the computers, right? This is the idea. Okay, and then in must and have to, in the other material that I sent you last night, you have more specific information about, you know, other specific differences between must and have to. For example, in the case of when we talk about, let's say, for instance, instructions, right? Instructions. When I give instructions to people, right? This is something that is also very important in English. For example, must, you know, this is something new that maybe, I don't know if you read it, but must is often used in English in written rules, in written rules and instructions. Rules, for example, when you go to the street and there are some rules, for example, right? For instance, let's say when people say you must or you mustn't, it could be both, right? or instructions. Instructions, for example, an instruction could be when you take a test and at the end of the test or at the beginning of the test, the instruction says you must, for example, write a letter, in ink. That's one instruction, in ink, not in pencil. This is an instruction. In that case, we always use must, right? Because it's an instruction that someone is given to us, right? There are other rules too. For example, when you say applications for the job must be, for example, received by May the 19th, etc. This is, another kind of instructions that we have. Sometimes we use must. Okay, let's start with our Guia first, Tiare. Yeah, I would like you to start working with this that says complete the sentences with the correct modal verbs, right? The first one is recommendation. I think this is the easiest modal to use, because when we talk about recommendation in English, we always use should, right? And when you use advice, when you want to give advice to a friend, to someone, you always use should, okay? All right, so in the first case, what are you going to use here?
Should.
Yeah, okay. So, but it says recommendation. You should eat before you go swimming. Yeah. All right. But if you put it in context, Tiare, if you put this in context, are you going to put should or shouldn't according to this?
Shouldn't.
Yeah, shouldn't. Correct. You shouldn't eat before you go swimming. This is a recommendation for all the people, right? They say that you shouldn't eat before you go swimming, right? Because it could be dangerous. You can have a problem while you are swimming in the water, right? That's why you shouldn't do this. Good. In the second example, it says in parentheses, again, recommendation, right? But it says you go on a diet if you're gaining a lot of weight. Okay, we're going to give a recommendation to someone that is having, this kind of problem. The person is gaining. Remember gaining? What is the synonym of gaining weight? Tiare, gaining weight. What do you mean to gain weight? Can you give me a synonym of an expression where people say to gain weight? To gain weight, when you gain a lot of weight. What is the idea? Is
maybe earn or get.
Yeah, not earn, because earn is used to earn when you earn money, right?
Okay.
Location.
Getting?
Yeah, getting. Okay, you can get, or also when you say to put on weight. Do you know the expression that to put on weight? Put on weight.
No.
Yeah, to put on weight also that's an expression that means you gain weight, to put on weight. Subir de peso, to put on weight or to gain a lot of weight. We always use instead of earn, Tiare, instead of earn, you use in this specific case, gain, right? We gain a lot of weight. Never earn. Earn for money, okay? You
okay.
earn money. Okay, so what are you going to put here in number 2? You
should go on a diet.
Yeah, you should go on a diet if you're gaining a lot of weight. Correct. In number 3, it says in parentheses, no obligation. No obligation. Okay, so it says no obligation. It means that we have to use negative, right? No obligation. Okay, obligation is have to or not have to. No obligation, the negative form. Don't have to or didn't have to or etc. Yeah. What is here? What are you going to put here in number 3? This is an informal school. Yeah, because it's an informal school. It's like Colegio Cantores de Viña, for example, is an informal school here. So we can say this is an informal school. You wear a uniform.
You don't have to.
Yeah, good. You don't have to. Perfect. You don't have to wear, a uniform. No obligation. Correct. You don't have to. So it's important that you use this because here it says when we want to express no obligation or something is not important, we can use don't have to or doesn't have to, depending on the subject. In this case, you don't. Correct. Children, to have one small snack between meals. Yeah, it says permission. So permission, it means that they have the permission to do this. That's the idea. So children can do this thing. Their parents say, okay, you can do it. Okay, you, etc. So children, what are you going to put?
Are allowed.
Yeah, are allowed to have one
One
small
small
snack.
snack between meals.
Yes, okay. So we can say here that children are allowed to have one small snack between meals. Also, Tiare, for your information, since that I know that you are very interested in grammar, you can also, Tiare, it's possible that you can say can. It's not incorrect, no está incorrecto, because can also be used to talk about permission. So if you in a test put, for example, children can, but you can, the only thing that you cannot do, the only possibility why in this case, for example, because it says to have, como dice to have, since you like grammar, pay attention to this detail. Este es un detallito, detail. In this case, the only thing that is possible to use is you're allowed, because it says to. You see? So you're allowed takes two. You're allowed to, and it says here to have one small. I cannot say, for example, children can to have. That's a mistake. It's un error, because el can no lleva nunca el to, right? Can is can have. I can do it with can, lo puedo hacer con el can, but only if I have, for example, have, no el to. Si tuviera have solito, I can do both. I can say children are allowed to have one small. Or if I say children can have, in that case it's possible. But in this case, you know, there is something important to keep in mind, because in case you have the test, en la prueba, we have to pay attention to these details. These are the details that can make someone to make a mistake. So it's important that you realize that in this case, the only possibility we have is children are allowed to, because it says to here, right? Because I cannot say children can too. Oh, it sounds awful. Okay, number 5. You to go out if you need to buy food for you and your family. Yeah, again, permission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can.
What do you put here? Hello, Kimberly.
You can go out if you need to buy food for you and your family.
Yeah, you can go out if you need. Yeah, you can or you can't. I listen.
You can.
Yeah, you can. Okay, correct. You can go out if you need to buy food for you and your family. All right, good. It's also possible, Kimberly, we are reviewing the Guia, yeah, about the Unit 6A. We are in exercise 1, right? And we are in exercise 1. Complete the sentences with the correct modal verbs, and we're doing exercise number 5. Tiare is reviewing 5, and she says that you can go out if you need to buy food for you and your family. Yeah. Here, what is the other possibility, Tiare, that you have in this exercise? What is the other possibility that you have here? Tiare.
Number 6.
In number 5. Apart from you're allowed to go out if you need to buy food for your family, what is the other possibility that you have here? Is it the only possibility that you have, or do you have other possibilities?
I don't know.
When you talk about
it is permission.
Yeah, it is permission. When you talk about permission, you say you are allowed to go out if you need to buy food for you and your family. Okay, what is the other modal that you use when you talk about permission?
Can.
Yeah, can. All right, can. Can is also possible here, because I can say you can go, you see, because it doesn't say to. So you can go out if you need to buy food for your family. So if a student got it right, you can go out, is correct. But you can also put you're allowed to, because allowed is always with to. You're allowed to go out if you need to buy, for example, food for you and your family. So both in this case are correct. It's not like in the case of number 4, that is tricky. ¿cierto? Porque se tiene el to aquí, y aquí no tiene nada. So in this case, in number 5, I have the two options because I can add to. You're allowed to go out. And you can go because you don't have the to, so you can go out. So both. But in number 4, as you told me, you're allowed, you're allowed to have. Yeah, and I cannot put you can because it says to, porque está ese to que me está molestando aquí. So I can, children can too, no puedo. You see? Esas son las tricky things, Kimberly. I don't know if you noticed this, Kimberly, that we reviewed with Tiare in the case of number 4. You see the difference with number 4 and number 5? It's on purpose. These two examples are on purpose. Están escritos, they are written on purpose, a propósito. Just to check, I mean, what things can you do in exercise 4 and in exercise 5? Kimberly, did you notice this or not?
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah, what do you notice in exercise 4 and 5?
That in number 4,
Mhm.
let me see. In number 4, you had to write children are allowed to.
Yeah,
There was no other possibility.
yeah, okay. You can write only you're allowed because you have to here written to. In the case of that can, is also possible, Kimberly, to use when you give permission. But in this specific case, no, because I have to in the sentence. Está escrito el to. No me sirve, si no tendría que borrar el to. So
Yeah.
children, no puedo decir children have to have. You see? So, but in number 5, I can have two possibilities. In number 5, as Tiare told me, you're allowed to go out, bien. And also, in this case, in this particular case, Kimberly, I can say you can go because I don't have the to. Como no me dieron el to, I can write those two possibilities because I can say you can go out. You see? Okay, in number 6, yeah, I don't know what you wrote in number 6 because I put it's important, but I forgot to add more information. Debía haber agregado más información aquí. Okay, in number 6, but in number 6, maybe I don't know what you wrote here. Yo no sé qué escribieron in number 6. I be late at the interview. ¿Qué pusieron?
Can't, cannot, or mustn't.
Yeah, okay. Podría ser, ¿no es cierto? Y yo podría haber puesto varias cosas. I mustn't, or I don't have to be late at the interview. Claro.
Yes, I put that, but don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
It's no obligation.
Yeah, it's not obligation, right? I mean, it's exactly. So, but here we need more information. Aquí hay que dar más información. Más, porque es muy poquito ahí. It's open, está muy abierto, right? Okay, in number 7, what do you put, Kimberly, in number 7? It says in number 7, advice, Kimberly, advice.
I wrote, you should see.
Yeah, you should see pieces of news.
Pieces of news.
Yeah,
in
films.
English.
Yeah, if you want to learn more English, correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was telling Kimberly that in English that I sent you more material because you can go when you go, like a very deep in something, especially with the modals. Sometimes there are some differences between, for example, let's say must and have to. And must, for example, in the case of must is also used when we give instructions, right? Instructions. And also in written rules, but only in written rules, right? So when you have, for example, a rule which is written, in this case, I cannot say you have to. In that case, a specific case, when you're talking about rules, we are forced to use must. Or when you have instructions. I was telling Tiare, for example, when you say in a test, the international test says, okay, you must answer the test in ink. That's a part of the instructions, right? Or you must, for example, let's say when you finish the test, you must write all the answers in an extra or in a special, you see, answer sheet. So this is the instruction. You must write. In those cases, we use must. I cannot say you have to. Because for those purposes, must is only used. Those are the slight differences sometimes between must and have to. Okay, anyway, we're going to do it in the other exercises that we have, here. Well, let's go with the number 8. In number 8, we're talking about, again, advice, which is, I think, the easiest modal. Your partner,
Miss,
yes?
I thought that we were in number 6.
Sorry, number 6. Okay, yeah. But number 7, Kimberly did number 7 because she told me you should see
Yes,
pieces of news
should.
and films. Yeah, that's correct. She said she should, so this is correct. Now we go to the other number 8. Yeah, it says,
But what was number 6?
number 6, I avoided, yo la evité because I didn't put the correct information in terms of the instruction.
Ah,
La eliminé porque no le faltaba información. Yeah,
okay.
I can put, yo podría poner, if I want, si yo general, in general, I can say, for example, I don't have to be late at an interview, for example, right? But I didn't put the information here, in the correct order. So maybe I'm going to eliminate, now eliminar, okay? Yeah, number 8. Your partner needs a change. Your partner needs a change. He or she away for a few days. Yeah, all right. So I'm going to give a piece of advice here. So we have to put the, maybe also the correct verb, but it's part of the verb in a way. Yeah, what do you put here? Your partner needs a change. So, so maybe he's tired, maybe he has worked a lot, he has studied a lot, he has done a lot of exercises. So he needs a change. So what is the piece of advice that I'm going to give, this person? What do you say, for example, here? Any of you, cualquiera, Kimberly or Tiare? He or she?
He should
Yeah, okay. He should
go away.
Yeah, he should go away or he should be away. Both are correct. You can put to be away, estar lejos de, to be away. He should be away for a few days. Okay. He should be away or he should go away for a few days. All right. Now, number 9. Kimberly, what about this? It says obligation. Obligation. In Chile, what happens in Chile?
In Chile, you have to drive on the left.
Yeah, in Chile, you have to drive on the left. Okay, so this is something that, maybe someone is obliged to do. When someone, a person is obliged to do something, we can use have to or must. Okay, good. So in Chile, you have to drive, you see, on the left. Yeah, and here also, you see, maybe a student can think of, imagine that some of your partners write in Chile, you must. Is it correct or incorrect? ¿Estaría correcto o no? In this specific sentence, that must can be used when we express obligation, right? When someone is obliged to do something, we can use must or have to. But in this specific case, because of the sentence that can give you, let's say, the key to say what I'm going to write here. If I say must.
I think only works have to because it must or mustn't. You couldn't be able to write it because it has the preposition to.
Yes, that's the answer, right? I cannot put here, that's why it's important to be very clear, because have takes to always is have to. In this case, since it says to, if I put must, I read you must to drive. That's not correct, because must never takes to. It's must drive, must work, must study, etc. Right? In that specific case, although it is correct, but I can say I must drive or you must drive, not to drive. Okay? These are the things that you can find sometimes in tests that are, very tricky. right? So that's why we have to read very carefully the sentences, okay? Tere, did you get that? ¿Te diste cuenta? Did you realize about this? That
Yes.
is on purpose? Yeah, so here in Chile, you have to, because it says to, you have to drive on the left, correct. Now, it says, read the rules and choose the correct option. Okay, all right. So here we have some rules and we're going to correct the options here. Yeah. Number 1 says, we are given only 2 things. So we have to start thinking and concentrate about the, you see the modals that are given to us in the sentence in order to decide which of these 2 ones, you know, is the one that is correct. Yeah, number 1, you have to or you should wear a sports in the gym. What is correct here? Kimberly. And then number 2 is for Tiare. Number 1 is for Kimberly. You have to or you should wear sports in the gym. This is a strict rule. You are not allowed to or you don't have to wear any other kind of shoes.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to. Good. You have to, because we're talking about rules, ¿cierto? We're talking about rules. Okay, it says you have to. Here is something very important. So something that you are obliged to do something. You have to wear sports, you know, I mean, in the gym. Maybe they refer to the shoes probably, right? Or sports shoes, etc. This is a strict rule. You see, some of the gyms are very strict in terms of the rules they have. And then it says, you, yeah, okay, you.
You are not allowed to wear any other kind of shoes.
Exactly. You are not allowed to wear any other kind of shoes. Maybe the only shoes that we wear is sports one, right? Okay, number 2, Tiare, think about this. It says, you can't or you shouldn't eat chips and chocolate in the gym. And obviously, you don't have to or you must not leave any litter. Both of these things are against our rules. Again, we are very strict because we are talking about rules, right? Yeah. So in number 2, we are not giving pieces of advice. So we cannot think about shouldn't. Right. Okay, Tiare, what are you going to say in number 2?
I put you can't.
All right, it's correct. You can't eat.
And I put mustn't.
All right, that's correct. So you can't eat chips and chocolates in the gym, and obviously you must not leave any litter because both things are against our rules. Correct. Okay, next one. Kimberly, what about the next one? What is this? This is about what? Let's read the whole sentence to understand it. You should or you have to sign for our fitness classes early. Yeah, you should, okay. You should
sign up for our fitness classes early as they sometimes fill up. However, you are allowed to use the gym at any time. It is always open.
Yeah, however, you are, yeah. Okay, what is correct in the second part? However, you are allowed? Yeah, you are allowed, good. You're allowed to use the gym. Gym, it misses, le falta la Y, ¿se dieron cuenta? Why? Gym. So you are allowed to use the gym at any time. It is always open. Correct. Okay, this is correct. So think about the context too. Piensa en el contexto. 4. Tiare dice, members can or must sign out when they leave the club. It's the rule. Ah, mira, te dice que es la regla. It's the rule. Okay. They, a lo mejor nos va a dar un consejito después. They, their bags in the club overnight. Okay, yeah. Tiare, what are you going to put here?
Members must sign out when they leave the club. It is a rule.
It's correct, club. It's the rule. Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Yeah. They shouldn't leave. Busca siempre el verbo después. They shouldn't leave their bags in the
club
overnight. Club, no, in the club. No es club. Club overnight. Okay, that's correct. Now, what are we going to do? Here we're going to concentrate in one modal only, that is have to or has to, okay? Depending on the sentence. So we have to be very attentive to the sentence, right? We put it always on purpose because this is used as, you know, maybe when you use present simple, for example, we use she has when it's affirmative. When it's a question, we need to use the auxiliary, does she or does he, right? Or do they, etc. When it's past, did they have to, for example. Well, the same we have to do when we use this modal have to. Okay, for example, here it says, Stephen starts work at 5 a.m. He has to, you see, we always have these two here, right? Because otherwise it's not a modal. He has to get up at 4. Okay, so this is something that maybe this person, the speaker or someone is forced to do this. He has to get up at 4. I broke my knee last weekend. Yeah, question. How do you make the question here? Think about, please, in these cases, we can like maybe use different kinds of sentences in different tenses, in present, in past, in present perfect sometimes. So this is very important to, you know, to identify, because when you identify this, you can make the corresponding use of have to, if you use it in the past, in the present simple, or in present perfect, etc. Okay, what are you going to put in number 1, for example? I broke my knee last weekend. What do you put here?
Did you have to go to the hospital?
Yeah, okay. Kimberly, do you agree with Thierry? Did you have to go to the hospital?
I wrote I have to go to the hospital, but I didn't notice the question mark, so I think it's wrong.
Why? What do you think is
Because
wrong?
I wrote I have to go to the hospital, but then I noticed that there's a question mark at the
There's
end.
a question mark, yeah, okay. So,
It's wrong.
yeah, all right, so it's a question. Thierry is correct, because in this case, Kimberly, the sentence is in the past. Look at this, broke. I broke something, my knee, last weekend. So this happened. This event happened last weekend. So that's why the person is going to ask, you know, maybe him or her, it's a conversation. And that's why you have to go to the back, go to the past again, because this happened. And you ask, did you have to go to the hospital? So that's why I put this, because I think this is very important, because students sometimes don't notice that at the end, as what happened to you, you have a question mark. So it's very important. If you have the question mark, immediately here in your mind, think about that you need to write or make a question. And then, you know, Kimberly, what we always do is to pay attention to the sentence. If the sentence is in the present or if it is in the past, well, since it's in the past, I make the question in the corresponding tense. Past, because we're talking about a conversation. I broke my knee. Oh, did you go to the hospital? Did you have to go to the hospital in this case? Did you have to go to the hospital? Okay, good. This is correct for Tiara. So did you understand, Kimberly, why do you put did you have to go to the hospital? So when we make questions using have to, Kimberly, if they have to is in the past, you have to think about like the past simple. Did, use the same auxiliary of the past simple. But then did you have, and then you add the to. Always, did you have to, for example, go to the hospital? Well, if it is a she, no problem. Did she have to go to the hospital, for example, etc. Okay, number 3, it says Scarlett can't stay for the whole session. Yeah, okay, all right. Kimberly again, pay attention to this.
Scarlett, she has to leave early?
Yeah, she has to leave early, correct. Because in this case, in this particular case, the sentence is in the present. She can't is present. Negative here, she can't stay for the whole session. So she has to leave. Correct. She has to leave early. Okay. Now this is number 4 is interesting. It's very interesting, this question. I want to see if you can do it. Tiare, can you try? How old to get a driver's license in Chile? Using this
Do you
modal.
have to be?
Yeah, can you make it again? Start from the beginning. How
old do you have to be to get a driver license in Chile?
Yeah, it's driver's license. Driver's license.
Driver's license.
In Chile. Okay, good. In this case, you see, so we're using present because this is a real fact, es un hecho real. Entonces pregunto, yo hago una pregunta. Digo, how old, estoy usando el modal have to, entonces, how old, como es una pregunta, it's a question, how old do you have to be? How old do you have to? There, the modal is, how old do you have to? And then I put the verb. And the verb with the H is always be. I am 20, she is 20, my dad is 40, etc. How old do you have to be to get a driver's license in Chile? Correct, very good. Okay, what about number 5 for, this is for Kimberly. It says, how is Tiare enjoying her new job?
Has she traveled a lot?
Has she traveled a lot? No. It's correct the tense. Yo creo que estás pensando bien. You're thinking about the present, Kimberly. But if it is a present, si es un presente como lo estás pensando, put it in the correct order. Colócalo correctamente in a question, en una pregunta. Porque no me sirve has to. No existe el has to para preguntas así como para un modal has to travel. No. En presente. ¿Cómo lo vas a hacer?
I don't really know.
Yeah. How do you use, for example, when I told you at the beginning, yo les dije que in the case of the modal have to, yeah, en este modal específico, that's why I decided to do these exercises. Por eso hice el ejercicio, porque pensé que les podían tener algún problema. In this specific case, when it's present, you know, we have to think about Kimberly and Tiare in the present simple. Piensa, Kimberly, en la estructura del presente simple, cuando pregunta, que es do they, do you, do we, do I, etc. Cuando es singular, es does he, does she, does it, or any other subject that is singular. Entonces, si es presente, if it is present in this case, we say, for example, does she have to, and then we continue with the verb. If it is, in this case, we're talking about modal have to. When it's present, the modal have to, and you make a question, right? You use does or he, depending on the subject, of course. In this case, it's a she because we're talking about Tiare. So it says, does she, and then we continue with the modal. Have to, and what is the verb? Travel. Okay, so does she have to travel a lot?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay,
now
yes. In number 6, what about number 6? Number 6 says, Kim didn't know how to prepare an authentic pizza napolitana. So I, her, teach.
I had to teach her.
Yeah, good. In this case, because this is past. At the beginning it says, Kim didn't know, didn't, past tense. So the sentence, I put it in affirmative. Puse en afirmativo. Ella me dijo, I had, correct, because it's affirmative now, in the past. Have to, past tense, had. So I had to teach her. Good. What about number 7? Tiare. Number 7 says, there was nobody to help me.
I had to do.
Yeah, again, because it's in the past tense. It says there was is past, was. So there was nobody to help me. What I did is I, the modal past tense, had to do everything by myself. Get it? Okay, yeah. Any doubts in this part, especially with the have to and have to, especially have to? Yeah. Remember, acuérdense, if the sentence is in the past, right, with the have to, or any sentence in the past, and then you have to use, sorry, the modal have to. Well, if it is a question, we're going to use the same as in the simple past. Did you have to, and then the verb. Did you have to study, for example? Yeah. Did, there's no problem because for all the subjects, it doesn't matter if it is singular or plural, we are going to use did. Did they have to? Did she have to? Did the boys have to? Did Maria have to? Etc. Right? If it is affirmative, no problem. She had to travel, or he had to travel, or they had to travel, right? And if it is negative, si es negativo, they didn't. Negación. Tengo que usar el mismo auxiliar del pasado. They didn't have to, for example, travel a lot. Or she didn't have to travel a lot. But the thing is, when it's present, if we're talking about present, in that case, for example, we are going to use do or does when it's a question, of course. For example, singular, does Kim, for example, does Kim have, because it's a question, the verb goes in infinitive, does Kim have to travel? Or does Maria have to travel? Or does Peter have to travel? Now, if it is plural, do they, do we, do I, do or do you have to travel, or do your parents have to, etc. Negative, si es negación, lo mismo, usamos los mismos auxiliares. She doesn't have to travel a lot, or they don't have to travel a lot. I don't have to travel a lot. That's the idea. Esa es la idea. Yeah. Si afirmativo, she has to travel, or they have to travel. Yeah. Any question about this? Después igual voy a hacer una guía gigante antes que venga la última prueba y vamos a meter todas estas cositas. We're going to do all these kind of things together. Yeah. Then I put the vocabulary, important vocabulary. This important vocabulary. I just put this fugu. You know, the intestines, ovaries, and liver of fugu, or blowfish. This is the other name. You know, I remember that I told you that this contains a poison that is called tetrodotoxin, which is 1,200 times deadlier than cyanide. The toxin is so potent that lethal dose is smaller than the heat of a pin. A single fish has enough poison to kill 30 people. Imagine, only one fish can kill 30 people. Imagine, you know, I mean, how potent this toxin is. Okay, and then I just put this for you to know more, you know, that this is durian. It's unwelcome, you know, on public transport. Remember that I told you this is not welcome, right, or unwelcome on public transport, and this is due to its overpowering smell. Durian has been banned on many types of public transport across Thailand, Japan, Hong Kong. In Singapore, the fruit is banned across all types of public transportation, even taxis have signs to let you know they refuse to carry passengers transporting the smelly fruit. So you can imagine that how this fruit smells, right? Well, let's go to the vocabulary. It says vocabulary revision here. That's why I put these two things, because they are maybe new for us, because in Chile, we don't have these kind of fruits, right? I have never seen in my life in Chile, in any part of the country, I haven't seen fugu, and I haven't seen, you know, the, what is the name of this fruit? Durian, right? I haven't seen them. Okay, number one, for both of you. Pizza Napolitana is in the news because it was rejected guaranteed traditional specialty status. This is true or false?
False.
False. Why false?
Because it was not rejected.
Yeah, so it was instead of rejected. So I underline rejected because rejected is the one that is not correct. What is the right verb that you have to put here? Instead of rejected. Se le dio, se le otorgó. It was rejected. No, it was rejected is like refused. What is the verb? It was. Se le otorgó este estatus de guaranteed traditional, specialty status.
It
The
was
verb,
given. Or,
yeah, it was granted. Do you remember the
oh,
verb? Granted? This is the
oh,
correct
yeah.
one. Not rejected. Granted. Granted. So remember, don't only use give all the time. Use other verbs. So granted, right? This is when you are granted, you know, for example, a special status, you use this verb. So it was granted. Okay? Granted, granted. Okay, number 2, the aspects of authentic pizza napolitana that are regulated are the ingredients. Correct or incorrect?
True.
Yeah, but it's tricky. También está tricky. The aspects of authentic pizza napolitana that are regulated are the ingredients. Are you sure about it or not?
Number 2 is true because it says that they needed to have a specific ingredients, so that means that they regulate the ingredients.
Yeah, okay. But this is not totally true, right? It's not totally true according to the reading, because the reading states that the aspects plural, you see, of this authentic Napolitana that are regulated are the ingredients, not only the ingredients. Remember, are the ingredients, the size, and the method of preparing. If you don't, follow this, for example, aspects, this is not for them an authentic, Napolitana, pizza Napolitana, right? So they say that they are regulated, are the ingredients, the size, and the method of preparing. So I would say no. Yo le pondría false porque no cumple con todo. Falso, false, because you have to add, tienen que agregar not only the ingredients, size, habla del tamaño, size, and y habla del method and method of preparing. So I would put false and I would add, y yo le agregaría, size and method of preparing. Okay, connoisseurs are people who are experts about something. What do you think? Correct or false or correct?
That's true.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, this is true. So this is correct. This is correct because connoisseurs are people, who are considered experts. Yes, that's right. 4, the real pizza Napolitana includes cheese, and the cheese has to be Valdivia cheese, which is very good, Valdivia cheese. Correct or incorrect?
False.
False. Why is it false?
It was another cheese.
Yeah, it's not Valdivia cheese. Valdivia cheese is the one that we have here in Chile, right? And it's very good. But what is the cheese that they use? That this is when they say the real pizza Napolitana has or includes this specific cheese that is called not Valdivia cheese, right? The name is, do you remember, is English. It has a beautiful color. English, like this one. No, I don't know the color. Can you see the color of this? Here. English
Yes, true.
blue. Okay. English blue Stilton. That's the name of the cheese. Stilton. 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 So English blue Stilton, right? This is the name of the cheese. English blue Stilton. All right. It's a very good cheese, right? I have seen sometimes this cheese in the jumbo in Viña del Mar, right? Okay, number 5. The crust of pizza Napolitana can't be more than 2/4 of an inch thick. Correct or incorrect? The real one. The real pizza Napolitana. They say, oh, this is the real one. So the crust of that pizza, the outer part, the crust, of pizza napolitana can be more than 2/4 of an inch thick. Correct or incorrect first? Hmm?
False.
Yeah, why is it false?
I think number 2 is incorrect.
Yes, number 2 is incorrect because it can be more than, they say, 3/4. They are very strict, remember, very strict with everything about this famous, Napolitana, pizza Napolitana, right? So 3/4 of inch thick when they talk about the crust, right? Okay, 6. Nutrition information is often on the labels of food product packages. Do you remember, Kimberly, that we talked a lot about this nutrition when we introduced unit number 6? So, what can you say, Kimberly, about number 6 then? Nutrition information is often on the labels of food product packages. Correct or false?
I wrote false.
False? Why false?
I don't know, because sometimes there is I'm just kind of unsure in that one, because I think that in some products there is all the information provided, but for some of them there's no information, such as I don't know, when you order in the restaurant, you don't get the nutrition facts and all of that.
Yeah, okay. But according to what we talked about, remember that at the beginning, when we started studying the unit 6, we introduced the unit with a picture. Do you remember the picture where you had the bagel, the meat? Do you remember that? And then we talked about this. So this is correct because, Kimberly, because the nutrition information is often, not always, often, is often on the labels.
Okay.
The labels, those sometimes small pieces, other times they are not as small as the ones that we can see sometimes in the supermarket. Well, but this is correct. Yeah, the nutrition information is often on the labels. Siempre están las etiquetas. Ya son unas etiquetas donde sale la información nutricional. Is often on the labels of the food product packages. So this is okay. Number 7. A bagel is big, round type of cake with a hole in the middle. We also reviewed this vocabulary when we started working with Kimberly. I remember that I was with her. And we talked about bagel. We saw in the picture, and I remember, Kimberly, that you described me what a bagel is. Is this correct or incorrect, Kimberly?
This one is false because it's not a cake, it's a piece of bread.
Exactly, it's false because this is not a cake, right? This is a piece of bread. Okay, good. So here you, instead of cake, you write bread, because it's a piece of bread. It's a very delicious piece of bread. All right. 8, we also talked about this, Kimberly, with you. The saying, remember that I asked you, you are what you eat. The saying, you are what you eat, means that it is important to eat junk food in order to be healthy and fit. Is it correct or incorrect?
Incorrect.
Yeah, incorrect. Okay. What is incorrect?
Junk food.
Yeah, okay. To eat good food. They said junk is incorrect. So instead of young food, you can put good food. Good food. So the term, the saying, you are what you eat, means that it is important to eat good food in order to be healthy and fit. Correct. Number 9, this is for Kimberly. People in general pay a lot of attention to their diets because the types of food they eat will have an impact on every part of their health. We also talked about this with Kimberly in the first part of unit when we introduced unit 6. People in general pay a lot of attention to their diets. In general, right?
I wrote true.
Yes, I agree with you. It's true. This is true, because people pay a lot of attention to their diets because the types of food they eat will have an impact, you see, on every part of their health. That's correct. Number 10, this is for Thierry. Supermarkets shouldn't be required to tell you how nutritious the food they sell is.
Incorrect.
Yeah, why?
The shouldn't.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Because supermarkets should be, not shouldn't, should be required to tell you how nutritious the food they sell is, right? So it should be required, not shouldn't be required. They should be required. It's like today, it's like an obligation. It's part of a rule. It's according to the law, right? That the supermarkets, should be required to tell you how nutritious the food they sell is. Good luck. If you don't succeed in this Guia, please go back to Unit 6A, especially for you that you are watching us, people, dear students, that you have missed most of your classes. If you feel that you don't succeed, you have to go back and check all the videos where we have talked about these kind of things. Anyway, most of this part is in 6A, Unit 6A. So go back to that part, 6A, where you're going to find all the modals. You're going to have the vocabulary also. At the beginning of the unit, there is an introduction where you are going to find also a picture, right, with all the, maybe different kinds of food and some questions that we answered, with my students and we discussed there, so you can see in the video. This is the unit number 6A. And then we have another one, which is very important to me before going to the 6B, because 6B has another contents in grammar that we're going to check next Friday, because this is another thing. Okay, so here, the one that sorry, this is past continuous, nothing to do with it. Well, I sent you another one that is called last night. It has to do with have to and must. Well, as you know, now I want you to become an expert about this, that you know a lot about this. Everybody knows that when we talk about have to, and must, we have first have to, when, we have talked a lot that this is when people are, obliged to do something. When you're obliged to do something, most of the time we use have to, or when something is necessary to do it. Well, here we have some example. For example, I am obliged in my case to wear glasses, especially for reading, especially for this, because, this is not, for me, not very clear. So I am obliged to wear glasses. In this case, I have to wear glasses, right? Or, for example, maybe sometimes you're obliged to do some things. For example, when you have to turn left, because this is the only way that the road, follows to that, and then it says turn left. You cannot turn to the right because maybe you can cause a terrible accident. That's why you're obliged to take that road and not the other one, right? Okay, these are the ideas of when people say that this is when you're obliged to do something, or in other cases when you say that it is necessary for you to do certain things, right? For example, here, this is something interesting because the last example is with the present perfect. It says, I haven't had. You see, it's used the modal have to. I haven't had to go to the doctor for ages. Maybe this is an example in present perfect, but where we are using have to. Well, and here we have something interesting that we reviewed in this Guia. The modal when we have in questions and in negative sentences, especially for the present and the past simple. And here we have that use, for example, do when you have present. What do I have to do to get a new driving license? Not what have I do to do. That's incorrect. Or when you say Karen doesn't have to work on Saturdays. Yeah, this is correct. Doesn't have to because it's present simple, negative. Not Karen hasn't to. No existe eso. Not. If it is past, well, I told you, we did the exercises. Why did you have to leave? Why did you have to go? Why did you have to play, etc.? And then we have, you have to use, well, you use have to with will and might or may. This is when they are talking about something that you studied before, that is the if clauses. Do you remember the if clauses? Well, in the if clauses, for example, you see, we usually use el have to and will. For example, when you say, if the pain gets worse, you will, in this case, because the main sentence is in the present simple, so you see the if clause is in present simple and the main clause in the future. It's a type 1, tipo 1, present, future, or future, present. That's why if the pain gets worse, you will have to go to the doctor. I might have to work late, or I may have to work. It's possible that I will have to. This is in the type number 1 that we can have these possibilities. And then must is similar to have to. Yes, in some cases we can use both, and both can be correct. You can use, there's something new, algo nuevo para ustedes, something new. That you can use must when you want to give an opinion. For example, to say what you think is necessary. When you think that this is necessary for that person to do it, or when you recommend someone to do something, have to is also possible, right? This is possible to do it. For example, I haven't spoken to Sue for ages. I must phone her. That means that I say this is necessary to do it, you know, in order to see how she is, what she's doing, etc. And I must meet him is I recommend this. Well, we use have to, not must to say what someone is obliged to do. Yeah, okay. The speaker is not giving him or her an opinion. For example, when it's a fact, I have to work from 8:30 to 5:30 is a fact. So this is something that I am obliged to do. Es algo que estoy obligada a hacer. No es una opinión esto. Si yo digo, I have to work from 8:30 to 5:30 every day, esto no es una opinión. In this case, I cannot use must. I have to use have to, because in this case, I use have to when you know this, when you are obliged to do something. She has to travel a lot for her work. Maybe this is also, it's not an opinion. This is a fact, something that the person is obliged to do. And I told you that must, you know, is often used in written rules and instructions. Rules and instructions. For example, here we have 2 examples. Applications for the job must be received. Okay, so maybe the company has decided to do this as a rule, for example, and they say that's why they're using must be. In this case, you use this. Or when you have an instruction, as I told you before, you must write your answers in ink, or you must write your answers in the answer sheet. Okay? You cannot use must to talk about the past. Yeah, you talk about the past, you cannot say, I must go. No, in that case, you use for the corresponding, you see a modal that in this case is have to, and that's why you say for the past tense, I had to leave. No puede decir, I must leave for the past. I had to leave. All right, so we have mustn't and don't have to are completely different. Yeah, for example, when you use the negative form, you mustn't do something, means that it is necessary that you don't do it. You don't do it. So don't do it. On the contrary, when you say you don't have to do something, it's because you don't need to do it, but you can do it if you want. Okay, the others are very simple, so let's go to the exercises. Vamos al ejercicio, vamos a trabajar juntitas. We're going to work together here. Let's see. Yeah, it says, number 1, complete the sentences with have to, has to, or had to. Yeah, remember, here we have something that we studied before. Bill starts work at 5 a.m. Yeah, okay, so this is present. Bill starts as present. So if I complete this, si yo completo, y esto no aparece here, right? It says he get up. Of course, that I'm going to use he has, because the sentence is in the present. That's why he has to get up at 4. In number 2, when it says I broke my arm last week, yeah, something similar, you know. So in this case, because it says he broke his arm, well, I ask because there's a question. Did you have to go to hospital? In number 3, there was a lot of noise from the street. And then says, yeah, okay, so there was past tense. Kimberly, can you do this one? There was a lot of noise from the street.
So we had to close the window.
Yes, correct. We had to close the window. Tiare, it says Karen can't stay for the whole meeting. Yeah, Karen can't stay. So present, can't stay for the whole meeting.
She has to leave.
Yeah, she has to leave early. Okay. How old, Kimberly? How old to drive in your country? Yeah, this is something similar to what we did. Can you?
How old do you have to be to drive in your country?
Yeah, how old do you have to be, etc. 6, I don't have much time. Tiare, I don't have much time. Present. I hurry.
It was an expression that
No, it says, I don't have much time. Tú lo dices, tú dices, mira, I don't have much time. Porque dice que tiene que usar el I y el verbo hurry. I
have to hurry.
Exactly. I have to hurry. Good. I have to hurry. Correct. How is Paul enjoying his new job? Kimberly. Question, pregunta, porque there's a question mark at the end and it says a lot and you have to use
Does he have to travel a lot?
Yeah, does he have to travel a lot? Correct. I'm afraid I can't stay long. What time, Tiare?
Do you have to go?
Yeah, what time do you have to go? The bus was late again. How long? And then question, you and wait. How long, Kimberly? How long
do you have to wait?
Did you?
Have to wait.
Yeah, okay. How long did you have to wait? Correct. 10, there was nobody to help me. Everything by myself. I do.
Have to do.
Yeah, I had to do. Okay, I had to do everything by myself. All right. Then the other one. Vamos bien. Yes, it says, complete the sentences using have to, plus the verbs in the list. Some sentences are positive and some are negatives. Okay. For example, I don't have to or I have to. All right. Ask, do, drive, get up, go, make, pay, and show. Let's go to number 3. Excuse me a moment. A phone call. I won't be long. Excuse me a moment.
I have to make a phone call.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I have to make a phone call, right? I won't be long. Correct. 4. Kimber, sorry, it says, I'm not so busy. I have a few things to do, but them now.
I have to do.
But wait a minute. I'm not so busy. I have a few things to do, but
I have to do them now.
I have to what? Sorry, I didn't listen. No te escuché.
Do.
Yeah, I have to do them now. Right? I'm not so busy. I have a few things to do, but I have to.
Or make again.
Me suena como tan raro, pero I'm not so busy. I have a few things to do, but I have to. Estoy viendo los verbos de arriba. Yeah, podría ser I have to do them, como en el sentido como de ayudarlos, podría ser. Okay, number 5. I couldn't find the street I wanted. I couldn't find the street I wanted. I couldn't find the street I wanted. Somebody for directions. Okay.
So I had to ask somebody for directions.
Yeah, I had to ask somebody for directions. Okay. Tiare, can you continue with the other one, please? Where is it? Can you continue with the other one?
You have to pay to park your car there.
Yeah, the car park is free, so you
haven't.
Yeah, sorry, the car is,
you don't have to pay.
That's it. You don't have to pay to park your car there. Yes, because it's free, so you don't have to pay. Good. Kimberly, number 7. A man was injured in the accident, but he to the hospital because it wasn't serious. Okay, yeah, all right. Can you complete that, number 7, Kimberly, please?
Yes, I'm thinking of the verb.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking about the verb.
He doesn't have to go to the hospital, or didn't have to go to the hospital.
A man was injured in the accident, but he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have to go to the hospital because it wasn't serious. Yeah, I put he didn't have to go. Why? Because remember, although he was injured in the accident, but the injury wasn't serious. Como no fue grave su herida, right? He didn't have to go to the hospital. O sea, no fue necesario que no tuvo que ir al hospital. He didn't have to go to the hospital because, because it wasn't serious, right? Okay. 8. There it says, Sue has a senior position in the company.
She has to make important decisions.
Yeah, she has to make important decisions. Number 9, when Patrick starts his new job next month, he
has to drive 50 miles to work every day. Yeah, he has to drive.
When Patrick starts his new job next month, yo diría, en este caso, acuérdate, Kimberly, remember that this is an if clause. Esta es una cláusula, es una condicional. Lo que pasa es que en vez del when, está usando el if, que eso se podía hacer. Acuérdate que en vez de when, podemos usar el if. En vez de decir, if Patrick starts, o when Patrick starts his new job next month, coma, he, si están presente la if clause, la main clause debería ser en qué tiempo? In what tense? La segunda, que es la main clause. Si la primera está en present.
Will.
Ya, bien. En futuro, ¿te acuerdas? Bueno, ahora justamente vienen las condicionales, así que ahí vamos a tener que recordarnos. En la 6b vienen las condicionales otra vez, la conditional sentence. Esta es una condicional. When Patrick starts his new job next month, comma, he will have to drive 50 miles to work every day. Es una condicional, corresponde a la 1.
Okay.
¿Ya? All right. Ya, chicas, vamos a llegar hasta aquí porque tengo que hacer una clase ahora adicional por el día que se me echó a perder el computador. Sí, tengo ahora el tiro con los niños, con los chicos de primero, no sé, casi las 9.
Okay,
the rest of the exercises, these two, I'm going to review next class, and then we start 6B, y vamos a partir la 6B, 6B, el viernes.
Okay.
So we finish with this, pending, and then we continue next. This is the homework for Friday, okay? All right, baby, so thank you very much, and see you next Friday, right?
See you, Miss.
Okay, you're welcome, bye-bye. Have a good day.